There's just simply so much you can do in Planet Coaster 2, like custom doors and secret entrances, and moving objects without showing the animation pieces. If you struggle with making your own custom animations, where to hide your animation pieces and how to make them invisible pretty much, you're gonna have to stick around, because I will be showing you in this video all the techniques that you need to know to make your own animation pieces. I will be showing you how to build custom doors, custom human movements, rolling objects, falling objects, hiding animation pieces, but also flickering lights, ambience music, sequencers, triggered events. There's just so much in this video, it's jam-packed and all explained in 7 easy to understand chapters. So, without further ado, let's get wiser and jump into this video. Let's go! Oh, sorry. Let's go! The first thing that we're going to talk about are triggers. So a trigger is the activation of an object to change its state. Now it can be done. So triggers can be made by 2 things. The first one is a sequencer, which we will be talking about as well. And then the second one are rides. And now we've got flat rides. We've got like flat rides, then we've got track rides, and then we have roller coasters. Roller coasters, these 3 types of rides can cause trigger sequences, and then individually they can also be triggered by using a sequencer. Now this is what a sequencer looks like. I'm sure that we've all seen one and wondering how the hell does that work? I can't even use that thing. It's pretty much a timeline. If you click on it and you go to edit trigger sequence, you can see a timeline. In this timeline you can add certain objects. In this case I'm going to add an object, for instance this cowboy. And this is the timeline. You can enlarge, like zoom in and zoom out, and here you can see that this timeline is now roughly 9 seconds. If I press play, you see the bar, which is the passing of time. And that's playing this trigger sequence, which is the cowboy leaning. So the cowboy that we've added in here, that got triggered because the sequencer got activated. I'm just gonna remove this because I don't want to mess things up. Now there's 2 different things that you can do. You can trigger items, but with sequencers you can also control music. And a lot of people might not know this. But we'll talk about them. So first we're going to talk about triggering items. So triggering again is the activation of an object to change its state. We've got 3 different types of triggerable items. The first one are animatronics, which you can see here. This is the cowboy animatronic, and when I press play, the cowboy does its thing and does a little movement, which is really nice. Then we can also trigger lights. Now here I've got a little one of the lights here, and if I press play here, you can see that it's flashing. I can play it. I can press play and then it just flashes. But I can also, if you I'll show you this as well. If you click the sequencer and you go to activation settings, you can select on trigger only. So every time it gets triggered, it plays the timeline once. But every time if you press continuous, it will constantly play the timeline until from the start up until the last moment that the last item is triggered. So with the lights, for instance, if I click this sequencer, which is the lights are attached here, you can see this is how to set up a flashing light. So first you have a deactivate on trigger, and then activate, and then deactivate, and then activate, and you just alternate it between. The last one needs to be activate, so that when the first one is triggered, it deactivates it again. So always make sure that the last one and the first one are 2 different things. So this is a flashing light for about almost 2 seconds. So when I press play, you can see the light turning on and off. You can also, again, if you click continuous, it will constantly play. And then the third thing that we can trigger are animation pieces. And here I've got an animation piece, and if I press play, you can see it move. Everyone knows this kind of piece, these type of pieces. They're like the blue little squares and then some attachment. The other thing that we can trigger and that we can do with sequencers and with triggers are controlling music. So there's three types of music files or music things that you can do. We've got ambience music. So if I press play here, you can hear the birds. That just keeps on playing because here I attached the park file. So yeah, you can press this on continuous as well, and then it will just constantly play. And then we can also have sound effects. And here when I press play, we hear some snakes hissing. This one, if you go to trigger sequence, here you can see the speaker that I added in. And then here we've got park music. And park music is just a song that you can play throughout your park. You can hear some violin music. And you can play this park music for as long as you want. I've got it activated here and then deactivated here. I would recommend putting this on continuous if you want to constantly have park music playing. But you can also use ambient speakers. You can use any of these three types of speakers. So you can see audio type. So we've got music, we've got ambience, and we got sound effects. So that way you can program your speakers and have some like park music. If you click on the sequencer, there is a music button here. You can literally change, select a music song. So any song that you want. I don't know, a hero born. Sounds like this. And then you connect it to a speaker. And then it will play from both the speaker and the sequencer. And it will just play. As you hear. So, yeah, there's that. Also, right, you can shut up now. Shh. Right, now it just keeps playing. This game is so bugged. I played the song on the sequencer and it's still playing even in my menu. Oh, I have to restart again. 1 second.
A few moments later.
So triggers can be activated by sequencers and also by rides. And I'll show you how to do that. It is really easy. I've set up a roller coaster here. And the rides, the track ride works exactly the same, but the flat ride work a little bit different. I will show you in a second. Firstly, we'll look at this coaster. If we click the coaster, we go to customize, create trigger sequence. Here you can see these little balls on the track. Here you have a 1, here's a 2, and then here we have a 3. And here we've got 1, 2, and 3. And here we've got different settings here. So this is trigger point 1, and if you click edit here, you can see I've added in the firework comet. So when the coaster passes, when the coaster passes this circle, the fireworks will go off. When the coaster passes little ball number 2, this animation sequence goes off because I have this animation or this animatronic attached to ball number 2, and then this coaster door is attached to ball number 3. So whenever the coaster passes number 3, whatever is attached to number 3 will be activated. It will be triggered. So let's have a look at that to see what it looks like. So here is ball number 1. It's gonna go past, and then the fireworks go off. Ball number 2 is here somewhere. It will go past, and then this trigger is this animation piece is being triggered, and then ball number 3 is somewhere around here, and that way the doors will open and close behind you. This technique with attaching the little balls that I can show you here. So these number 1, number 2, and number 3, they work exactly the same for tracked rides. But flat rides you can also trigger, but they work a little bit different. So here we have a flat ride, the Helion ring. if you go to customize, here you can you can program your ride. So you want to have like a swing, and then it goes, or like a stall swing, so it swings and then it stops and then it comes back. Then we've got a normal swing, and then we've got a looping, which is a forward loop, which goes like this, and then we've got a backwards loop. Now you can add more movements to the thingy. So flat rides are a little bit different. You can go here to customize. I've selected the Helion ring. I go to customize, and then here I can have create trigger sequence. And the trigger sequence is depending on the ride sequence. So here it shows you what the ride is going to do. So first you have a stall swing, so it's going to swing and then stop and then swing back. Then we have a regular swing. Then we've got a forward loop, and then we've got a backward loop. And that all takes an X amount of time. Now if I click create trigger sequence here, I have an empty timeline. And from there on you can be like, the ride starts at 0 and it ends at 32 seconds or something. You have to see, it depends on how many sequences you've added and how many things the ride does. And over that time period you can have certain things being triggered. So it works exactly the same as a sequencer, but then in the form of a ride. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. If you got any questions, please let me know. Chuck them down below. And I saw on the post that I made asking you guys what you guys want me to talk to about, things that you don't understand. You all talk about how to hide triggers and how to, how to rotate triggers and stuff. But triggers are not actually the items, they're the process of activating the items. So yeah, now we're gonna go to number 2, chapter number 2. Alright, welcome to chapter 2. Why you should use sequencers, and I'm going to show you, and you're like, I don't want to use sequencers, it's a bit of a pain, they are hard to control, blah 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 blah. No, I'm going to prove you otherwise. I'll show you why you should use sequencers instead of using them individually. First I want you all to meet Bob. This is Bob, and this is Bob's wife, and Bob and Bob's wife have a bit of a rough past, and he left him, but he's still very much in love. So he sometimes plays a song for her. Her name is Bobette. Bob and Bobette. Anyway, Bob can do all sorts of stuff. And you can see Bob can talk. You see? Bob is talking. Bob can also blink. Very nice. And he can also look right. That's a right for him. He can look right, but he can also look left. And you can see all these things. Now, if you want to obviously have a sequence going where there's a combination of these things, let's say you record a voice message or something like that, and you want to have his mouth and his blinking and looking left and looking right all happening at the same time to match up with the audio recording. There's a way to do that, and you obviously use sequencers. So here I've got the mouth sequencer. It's programmed to open and close the mouth. This one is supposed to blink, blah 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 blah. If you want to, for instance, look right and then blink and then look left and then start talking or something like that, you can easily program that. And if you do that all using another sequencer, so in this case this is my main sequencer and that's controlling all these other sequencers, because just like triggerable items or triggerable events, I can these sequencers can also be attached to a new sequencer. So here I've got a little sequence built. It's roughly 10 seconds long, as you can see, and then here you can see all the different things that it's going to do. So from when I press play, it's gonna start looking right, and then after a second it starts looking left, and then you've got a couple of times that he opens his mouth, and obviously he's blinking as well. And then at the same time we have a little park speaker here, which is ambient music, which will be very appropriate for the situation. So in this case, the reason why you would want to use a sequencer is because you can control other sequencers, and you can control a whole timeline instead of having to add everything one by one using a coaster trigger or something like that. For instance, I cannot program blink and talking at the same time. I have to like add this one and this one to the right, and it's just gonna get messy. So if you can build the whole thing onto a new sequencer and then attach this sequencer to the right, simply the right passes by, goes past one of these balls, as I said before, and it sets off all these sequencers at the same time. So when I press play here, you're gonna have Bob do some awesome stuff. I'm gonna pause it, and here you go. Here you go. Look at Bob. He's really talking now, looking left and right and blinking, and he's obviously missing Bobette. So yeah, I really think, obviously, and you can control music at the same time, and you cannot do that with rides. You cannot control sounds from a roller coaster not using sequencers. You have to use sequencers. So I think for organization wise, it's definitely best to use sequencers. So for your next project, maybe that's something to consider. Now we go and look at chapter number 3. Right, chapter 3 will be a bit of a short one, but it's about thinking about what you're going to build, what kind of animation you're going to make. And I'm using an upside down pyramid, and it's like, what the hell, book? Oh my god, what does this mean? I'll show you. So this is an upside down pyramid, as you can see, but you see the top of the pyramid is really wide, and then the bottom of the pyramid is very tiny and very specific. It's the arrow, or it's the point. That's called, the top of the pyramid is called the general movement, and the bottom is called the specific movement. So when you build an animatronic, for instance like this one, you first look at what is going to be the general movement of my piece. And in this case it's a horizontal movement, or horizontal mover. So I want to build that piece first because I want to create the general movement of the animatronic that I'm going to make. And then the specific movements is the head rotating and the mouth rotating. So after you've placed down your general movement piece, you're gonna build your character on top of this movement piece, and then you're gonna build your specific movements on top of your general character. And that way you don't get confused with, oh, what animation piece am I going to build on what animation piece. When we later on talk about stacking animation pieces, this becomes a lot more clearer if you use this method, a general movement towards specific movement. I'll show you again later as well, but this is just something to keep in mind, and this is something that I use when I build my animation pieces. So yeah, let's go and see what chapter 4 has to say. I hope this makes sense, by the way. If you got any questions, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see if I can get back to every single one of you. Right, you've made it to chapter 4, and here we talk about where to place your animation pieces when you're making animations. So we're all talking about animations, and I'm going to show you where to put down your animation pieces and how certain things work, rotations and all that sort of stuff. So we're starting with the pivoting, and this is one of the most common movements in the game that most animations and animatronics use pivoting, rotating pieces. But it's all about your pivot points. So if we have this door here, for instance, when I press play, the door will open, and you can see the pivot points of the door is where the door connects to the beam. You see it rotates right around the axis here where the hinge is. As you can see, that's your pivot point. That's called a pivot point, and those are the points where you want to have your animation piece installed. So as you can see here again, the door rotates around its pivot point. But also for rotation, for instance, if you have a piece that's rotating, the pivot point is right in the center, and it rotates around the center, as you can see here. This is just a general animation piece, but the center of the gears, the center of the wheels is what it rotates around. So those are the rotation points. And And here, obviously, we also have like a general hatch. When I press play, you can see the hatch open, but it's like a sideways door pretty much. It pivots around its pivot point, which are the hinges, and that's where you're going to place your animation piece. And now you'll be thinking like, "Book, oh my god, so confusing, show me more." Alright, here we go. Here, if you consider this your pivot points, you can build basic doors. You can build basic custom doors. Where the pivot points are, so on the hinges of the door here, that's where you're going to install your pieces. So as you can see here, my animation piece is exactly on the end of the door, between the door and the beam that stands still. So only this door piece is moving, and when I press play you can see it. It's a really easy door, basic door that you can build, and this is simply this animation piece is a quarter chop reverse, and this animation piece is quarter chop. So these are the rotating pieces, and when you add them together, again on a sequencer, because then, for instance, you can control if one door wants to be opened later than the other one, like now. See, I've moved one of the doors later than the other one. You can control all of that. Again, another reason why to use sequencers. But pivot, you build your rotation pieces on pivot points. It's the same with these things. Here we have the rotation points, which is the center. So if you can see, when this rotates, the center is pretty much standing still, and everything rotates around the center like a black hole. It's the same thing here. Here I've got two wheels attached to a rotating piece, and the rotating piece is exactly in the center of the animation piece. I just wanted to show you guys when I let me just add an object here. So here I'm going to put the wheel bag. This one. See, I can build a bag and be like, oh yeah, somewhere here. I think that's the middle. Now I think I got it right. But when I press play, you can see this wheel is not centered. You see it's wonky and stuff. It's really easy to fix, to make sure that it rotates in the center. So you have your piece, you make sure that your snap to position is turned on. When I hover over it now, it snaps right into position and it's perfectly centered. When I press play, you can see it's rotating perfectly in the middle, and it's not like moving on an angle or something like that. And again here, instead of building this hatch here, you can also build a custom hatch. I've just built a really basic, simple one, but again on the pivot points, that's where my animation pieces are built, as you can see. You can see that the animation piece is quite far away from the actual hatch, and I'll show you later how to do all that stuff when we talk about hiding animation pieces. But yeah, that's for pivoting things and rotating things. That's where you install your animation pieces. Now for movement pieces, you can use either a vertical moving platform or a horizontal moving platform. Now this is, you look at the general movement of the item, and this way, when you look at this animation piece, when I press play, you can see it go up. Right? So the general movement is upwards, and then obviously it comes down as well. Now I can create that with a simple horizontal movement piece as well. You can see I've built my own little elevator, and when I press play on this thing, it goes up as well. It is simply a horizontal moving platform, but I've rotated it vertically. So here it is placed horizontally, here it's placed vertically, and you can make elevators, or you can make things move up, or things come down, or move left or right, or something like that. It's the same with this piece. When I press play, you can see the knight walk forwards, and the general movement is this way, and then it rotates, and then it turns back that way. I can do the same with with Bob. Here's Bob again, and when I press play here, you can see Bob move forwards, and you can see Bob move backwards. Very exciting. So Bob could be the knight, you never know. But yeah, that's how you create, that's like movement. You don't work around with pivot points and that sort of stuff. You just have movement, and you see in what direction is the movement, and that's the direction that you want to build your piece in. Now we also have circular movement, and this is that new piece that you can see here. It kind of rotates in a circle. But yeah, I've put it down here, and it kind of, yeah, the higher you have it, it's like a cone-shaped mechanism. I'll show you in a bit. But it rotates in a circle. But if you have it higher, see, I mean, this circle here is teeny tiny when it's three-dimensional, but when you place it higher, the item that you attach, it has a lot more circle to rotate around, and that you can see here perfectly. Here you've got a tiny little alien spaceship, which has roughly this amount of motion looking at the cone. But when you place the piece a lot higher, you can see that the alien spaceship is making much bigger circles. So the distance that you attach your piece to the animation piece, in this case, makes makes a big difference. The higher you place it, the more it rotates and the more visible your animation is. That's just for circular motions. And then we also have this crazy piece, which is brand new. I wanted to show you, but I haven't experimented around with this. But this is more like a physics-based piece. It's a little spring, as you can see, and you can attach things to the top of the spring. I just think it's a bit silly, but you can make things move with the motion of whatever it's attached to. So that's kind of where you place your animation pieces. And if you got any questions regarding this, please let me know down below and I'll get back to you. But yeah, I think these two are the most important ones. These two are quite obvious what to do with them, but the pivoting points and the movement points are the most important, and I think the pivoting ones you'll be using most. So yeah, let's jump to chapter 5 and see what we're gonna talk about there. Alright, you've made it to chapter 5, and in chapter 5 we'll be talking about how to hide your animation pieces and make things look a lot more natural. So here we've got Bob again with his mouth and his blinking and all these things. But generally when you want to make things move, as you can see here, when you want to make things move, you always have either of these animation pieces visible. But in this case they're all invisible, and yet you can see movement, right? Like when he looks to the left, for instance. I do not see an animation piece, but his head's still moving. It looks like it's not attached to any of these things. I'll show you how to do that. So there's different ways of hiding your animation pieces. The first one is obviously, and the easiest one, is to sink into terrain. And here we've got a ball that's floating in the water, and you can see it's attached to one of the rotating pieces that I showed before. But if you dig it on the water, you can see the ball is just floating by itself. You don't even see the piece. But when I bring the piece up, when I click it and I bring it up, it's simply there. So it's just under the ground, as you can see it. Now the way to do that, let's say I want to do this again. I place down this piece, then I click attach scenery, and then here I find my beach ball again. Here. I'm just gonna actually, before you start placing things on animation pieces, make sure it's deactivated so it's always at this neutral state. We're gonna attach the ball to it and make sure snap to position is on, so it snaps exactly in the middle, as you can see. Now I place it down, now I click it again and then press X on my keyboard to open this movement piece, and I just bring it up. That's all you do, you just bring it up. Then you close it, and then when you click the animation piece and you press X on the keyboard, you can bring it all the way back down until the way where you are okay with, I want my beach ball to be there. Now it's on the water, and now you press loop, and then it's just doing its thing again. Now we've got a floating beach ball, which is kind of interesting. The other way to do this is hiding your animation pieces behind objects. So here you see two rotating mechanisms, One of them doesn't have any animation pieces on, as you can see. Like they have no animation pieces. And while the other one has really clearly and obviously got the animation pieces attached to them. But you can obviously blend these animation pieces in by hiding the animation pieces behind objects. So here all the pieces are simply hidden in this tree and behind this rock. Here they are. And then for this one it's just on the ground right here. So that's just sunk in like these ones. Now to install this, to have animation pieces being able to hide them, you simply have to look at the axis. So you use the pivot points again, which I've described just there, to be able to move the rotating piece away from the piece that's animated. When I have this piece, it's attached to this animation piece, right? But when you have this piece, it's attached to this animation piece, but they're not connected like they are here. Like I showed you with the ball, you can do this as well by deleting the piece and then adding an object. In this case we want to install the cork. I think it was this one. Make sure that snap to position is on again, so that it snaps in the middle and it doesn't look wonky or something like that. And then you select the piece and then you press X and then you just bring it out. Because it's in the center, it's not going to like look funky or weird or anything. And that way it is away from the rotating piece and you can put like a tree here or something like that. So that's kind of a way on how to hide your pieces as well. In this case I use it behind objects, but yeah, really look at these dotted lines at the center of the animation piece. That's the line where you want your piece to be in. So you can have your piece here, but you can also have it all the way up here. It's quite simple once you understand it. If you got let me know if you got any questions if I didn't explain that properly. But it has to be in this line. The piece has to be in the center of one of these lines. I just they're just pieces that I added in, but just to visualize the pivot or rotating point. Now here, and this is gonna be fun. We talked about syncing in animation pieces. Now I'll show you some examples. Here you've got a cowboy that's sunk in, but it's simply attached to a piece that's on the ground that you do not see. So this piece is moving, but you don't see it. Here we have another example. We've got a suspicious looking bush that's simply attached to a horizontal moving piece, and by moving it up a little bit, like I've showed you just there, you can have it move across the ground without it showing the visual horizontal moving piece. And it's the same with this one. Here we're hiding a piece and it's just behind here, these hearts. These hearts are attached to this piece and the piece is hidden behind the tree. So you can have movement without showing the piece. And here we have another piece. Here we've got a cute little butterfly, as you can see. Look how cute. And you were like, how the hell does that work? Well, animation pieces are simply behind the little tree here. And each, using the pivot points of these rotating pieces, I attach the wings exactly parallel on the same axis or the same pivot points as the rotating piece. So if I rip this wing off and brought it all the way in, it will be exactly in the middle of this blue area. Because that's what the point that it's rotating around. But that's kind of how this little butterfly works. So you have a butterfly, you don't see anything, but it's definitely moving. And then another thing here, we've got a little crate hanging up here, and it's gonna fall down, but you don't see it fall down. That's because it's hidden. When I press play here, I show it this way. You can see the piece fall down, and then it's just hitting the magician in the face, pretty much. And you even got like blood spatters. Like, look at that blood! Oh my goodness, looks like some real Tekken stuff. But the box is simply attached to a horizontal moving piece. And if I remove these pillars and press play, you can actually see what's happening. So that's how you can make falling objects, for instance, and then hide the animation piece within a wall or something like that. And you obviously, like as we've shown before, you can also hide animation pieces in like characters. And in this way, I've got my horizontal movement pieces on the ground, and then I've got the head is attached to a moving piece, but the moving piece is actually in his head. So I paused the game here. It's right here. There we go. So this is exactly aligned with the neck. When I place it back, with the neck of the character, so it rotates around the neck, as you can see. And then also you got the mouth, which is hidden in the face again, and that just rotates as well. So there are just a couple of ways on how to use, how to hide your animation pieces and have animations made without having these ugly blue animation pieces showing the whole time. These are the most common techniques that I use. I can't think of another technique. I mainly use the hiding in terrain, hiding in objects, or hiding in walls, or on the ground, or stuff like that, or hiding my pieces in other pieces. So I hope that was useful. And let's go jump to chapter 6, and this is where things are gonna get really exciting. Right, in chapter 6 we will be talking about stacking movement pieces. And there's a couple of things we will talk about. I'll show you how it works. So here we've got the basic animation pieces, and they're quite sucky when they're on their own. And always when you have more company, things are always more exciting and more nicer and give you more flexibility. So to make a normal animation pieces less sucky, you just stack your animation pieces. So here we have a single animation piece, and that's just causing restriction, because I can only press play and it just opens and closes based on the selected animation that I've selected. In this case, quarter chop reverse, and in this case just regular quarter chop. But if you stack them, you can create all sorts of other variants of animations. So when you have multiple animation pieces like here, you have a lot more freedom. With single ones, you're very restricted based on the list of animation pieces that you have. So I can only have this door move in different ways. Only the animations that I select here, that's how my door is going to move. But when I have attached multiple pieces, I have a little bit more freedom. For instance, if I press play here, I can make my door open up slower, and also I can make my door stay open for longer. See, that door is still open, and this door is open and closes, and these doors are still moving. So yeah, I'll show you how to do that as well. If you click the door, you have two animation pieces stacked. The first animation piece is medium reverse, and the second animation piece is medium. So one opens clockwise and the other one opens anti-clockwise. And when I connect them both to a sequencer, and I just have them like 1 second apart. So while one is moving, it's opening the door, all of a sudden it's getting resistance because the other one is moving anti-clockwise. It stops moving and it stays still. So if you look here, it's opening, and then it's gonna find resistance that's building, and then eventually it's gonna stop. And then the one piece is gonna start rotating back because of the basic animation, and then the other piece closes the door as well. And it's the same with this one. It's medium, and then the other one is medium reverse. You just play around a little bit, but often I just use slow, medium, or fast, or you also have very fast, ultra fast these days. You just attach them into the opposite direction, and then attach your door piece to the top piece. And here as well, you make sure that that snap to position is turned on. If I have this piece here and I have snap to position on, it's gonna snap exactly in the center of the piece that I've already placed down, and that's very important with doors. Otherwise they're gonna be wonky and stuff. So that's just rotating pieces. But also, when you have horizontal pieces, you can increase the speed and the travel distance. So here I have the yellow one is only one movement piece, as you can see here. Just turn my light on. You've got one animation piece. If you look at my mouse, that's where the one is. And then the other one has an animation piece, a horizontal piece stuck to another horizontal piece. And that way it travels at twice the speed and twice the distance. So this is one. See, it goes one way and then it comes back. And this is with two pieces. See how it's 2 times as fast and then it travels twice as far as well. I'll just show you again. You see? So that's also something that you can do. You can use that with both horizontal pieces but also with vertical pieces. And also something that you can do when you stack multiple animations is you can create pauses. That's simply what this is as well. While one's opening and the other one is rotating anti-clockwise, it stops the first movement. So you're gonna end up with a pause. So here I have 2 pieces, but I've only have one activated. And when I press play, you can only see the bottom vertical piece move in. As you can see, there's no pause there. It's a one-way movement. When I have both pieces activated, so you have slow up to down, and then the next one is also slow up to down. When I press play here, I activate one piece, and then when the other one piece comes back, I activate the second piece. So one piece comes down, then that piece comes back up, but because the other piece comes down, it counteracts the movement of the first piece. It's programmed like this. It's quite easy. Oh my goodness, where's my scroll bar? Sometimes I cannot find it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I do have the vertical rotation piece. You don't have to have this, but it's a 4-second movement, and so it goes 2 seconds one way and then 2 seconds the other way. But if you have 2 seconds one way and then it goes back, you can have the second movement piece counteract the second half of the first movement. It's a little bit complicated, but that's kind of how you can create pauses. So that's about a 2-second pause. And if I have 3 animation pieces, I can create a 3-second pause. See how the ball stays in place? So one piece comes back, it comes back up, but then the next piece comes back up, and then the next piece comes back, and then it comes back up, and then it starts moving it. So that's roughly a 3-second pause that you can have here. I'm sure Taggy would have found a way how to make this a lot easier, but this is how I create pauses in my animations. And you can do obviously the same with the horizontal movement pieces. Now we can hide objects, and this is really thanks to Taggy. It's a bit complicated to explain, but this is the basic movement of it. You have 2 horizontal pieces, and while one comes back, the other one there's always a back and forth motion. One motion is backwards and then it comes back up, but when it comes back up, the second one brings it back down, and then when that one comes back, the first one brings it back down. So it's alternating, and if I play here, you can see both pieces are constantly moving, but the piece that you attach your item to is always hidden, kind of thing. I can show you that with this crab. Here we have a crab that's in the bed, and I have this top piece that you can see here. That's a piece to generally have the general movement of the crab, no matter if it's hiding or not. So if I press play here, see it's slightly coming back down, but here you can see the crab is being hidden. It's constantly being dragged down. And then eventually it's done, and then it comes back up, and then that stop piece brings it back into place. It's a little bit complicated, but I hope that makes sense. I think Taggy has this piece on his workshop. If I can find a link to it, I'll put it down in the description of the video, so you can attach your pieces, your animation pieces as well. You can hide your objects. So you simply double click on this piece that pokes out, and then you're gonna add your item to it. So in this case I want to add that. this is shown, and now it comes out, and then it just hides. Obviously you can change the animation of it, but yeah, it's now hidden. And obviously if you stack multiple rotating pieces together as well, you can increase the rotation speed. So here we have Princess rotating, but if I have 2 at the same speed, she's rotating twice as fast as just a single one. But when I have 3, I can rotate it even faster. This is currently set at fast, but if I do like very fast, for instance. Oh, look! She must be very dizzy. But yeah, if you can stack them on top of each other, again, snap to position, you can increase the rotation speed. So yeah, that's kind of a couple of basic things on how to stack movement pieces together, how to make these custom doors and all that sort of stuff, how to hide things, make things move faster, how to create pauses and how to hide things and how to increase rotation. So yeah, that's kind of it. Let's go and jump to chapter 7, which will be the last chapter, and I'll show you how to make some of the most common animatronics or animation movements possible with a big setup that I made. So yeah, let's jump to chapter 7. That'll be the most exciting chapter, I reckon. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Let's jump in. Alright, welcome to the last and final chapter of this animation video, I guess. And it's all about the most common movements that you will see used in Planet Coaster. And all sorts of different movements that we'll be talking about, like rolling objects, about doors and hatches, secret tunnels, human movements, but also like animal movements and that sort of stuff. Appearing and falling and flying objects. So let's just start with the first section, and that's just rolling things. And the first thing that you need, you can either use a horizontal piece, because the general movement of the ball is downwards. In this case, you see you have a ball here that's gonna roll down, it's gonna hit the mage. Oh my god, poor mage, getting a beach ball in his face. And then you need a rotating piece, and then you also need the object that's going to roll. So here you can see I have, you can't really see it here because I've hidden them in the blocks. Here you can see, oh no, I've hidden them on the ground, have I? Oh my god, I can't even find it. What? After a little bit of looking, I couldn't find it anywhere, and it appears that I've just placed it down here. Anyway, to make a rolling movement, you need your horizontal piece, and then you need your rotating piece. I'm gonna just click on this ball and bring it in, and then I'm gonna click on this. I'm just gonna bring this ball in, so it's easy for you guys to understand what the hell is actually happening here. So this is the rolling mechanism. You've got a horizontal piece. Attached to the horizontal piece is a rotating piece, and then attached to that rotating piece is the ball. Now the rotating piece is rotating clockwise, and then the horizontal piece is on a downwards angle. When I press play, you can see that the rotating piece is rotating. You see the ball rotate, and obviously it's gonna hit the mage, and then the mage is gonna be hit. But if you use my hidden techniques, my hiding techniques, you can simply hide them in the wall. And here you have a rolling animation that's hitting a mage, pretty much. And you can also have use that same technique, but on a different angle. You can create like falling rocks, something like that. I realized I could have increased the speed of the falling a little bit, but it's also a falling a horizontal piece. It's right here, a horizontal piece and a rotating piece, but the rotating piece I have hidden inside the rock, as you can see. So again, if you can play, it falls down and you can see it rotate. It's like a beach ball, but then rolling down vertically, pretty much. It's like this emotion, but then vertically. So yeah, that's how you make rolling objects. Now let's have a look at a couple of like special doors. For instance, here we have a door. I call it the door plus, and you need 2 times rotating piece. you need one being, the bottom one being medium, and then the top one being medium reversed. They obviously need to be attached. The way to do that, you place down a rotating piece, and then you select it, and then attach scenery, and then on top of that scenery you add another rotating piece, and they have to be counterclockwise. And then on one of the doors, like I've explained before, you can also attach another animation piece. And here you can see I attached a rotating animation piece with some kind of wheel. And this way, when I press play here, you can see the wheel rotate and then the door open, which is pretty cool. And obviously you can do this with sequencer like I explained before. First you have the rotating piece rotate, and then you've got that same door, the door on the left open first, and then the door on the right open afterwards. Otherwise it's going to clip right through the other part. But yeah, that's kind of how the special door works. And if you really want to take that to the next level, you can make these kind of hatches. These need to be on slow and pass. So this whole hatch is attached to a slow and pass movement piece, which I've hidden on the ground. And here, if I press play, you can have all these rotating pieces, and then that brings the whole hatch down. So it's a horizontal piece, and on the different locations there is rotating pieces. So yeah, you can see all the rotating pieces behind the wall, and then the horizontal pieces on the ground. So here you have it again, which is pretty cool. And then also you have secret tunnel, works exactly the same as a custom door that I showed before, but when you press play here, it rolls upwards instead of like a door sideways. But yeah, so you can make hidden, I don't know, hidden entrances or something like that. Whatever you fancy, whatever fits your park. But that's kind of how to make reveal entrances, like hidden entrances, caves, and all that sort of stuff. Might be something that you want to use. So that's a little bit about doors and hatches. Here we've got Bob again. We talk a little bit about human movements. This is Bob, but if you select Bob, you can see all the pieces from his body that can separately move like a real human body. They're all grouped together. So his head is grouped, his torso is grouped, his undies are grouped, upper legs, lower legs. I could have the shoes separately as well, but here I've taken the pieces apart. You can see Bob with all these different pieces. And simply to make human movements, you really, you know, when you stand in the mirror and you like shake no, all you see is your head and your neck move. So it means your neck is also moving when you shake, when you shake no. It's a simple one movement piece, and then you attach the head and the neck to it, like this one, and then you just have it on, let's say what the setting is, quarter oscillate fast. That's all it is. And obviously, again, make sure that you snap into the center. Now when you bow or when you bend over, you bend through your hips. So the hip is the pivot point, and that's where the center of the animation piece needs to be. When I press play here, you can see him bowing to you, which is pretty cool. But it's simply just rotating around his hips. And with the arm, yeah, obviously you can raise your arm on different ways. But this way he's like reaching out for like a handshake or something like that. And in this case I have hidden the animation pieces in his chest, and you can see a little bit here. But yeah, it's right here. Right in his chest you can hide it. And then you can make him do a cannonball instead of having him rotate. From the upwards from the hips, you can have them rotate from the top of the legs. And you can bring the legs in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all he does. So it really is about when you want to create human movements. This is waving, for instance. When you want to create human movements, you look in the mirror and then see where the hinge is, where the point of rotation is on your arm, for instance, or in your legs. And that's why you want to attach the movement piece, and obviously make sure that it's centered. And here's one of my dwarf that's randomly showed up, but that's hacking around here. which is pretty funny. Obviously I can put this on continuous and I will just constantly hack, which is quite funny. So yeah, that's a bit of movement, human movement pieces, but also you can attach this, apply this to animals as well. Just look at their joints and all that sort of stuff. Here we have falling and flying pieces. Here I saw some people ask me, how do you create those animation pieces from my Dwarven Mine Rally Coaster? Now here I've taken out one piece, and that's the dwarf chopping off the head of the orc, and that flies and then lands on the ground. It's really simple. When I press play, you can see the animation. I got a little blood splash. I'll show you how to make that as well in a second. Let's show you one more time. All it is, when we talked about human movements, this is rotating from his hips, so that's where the rotation is gonna be. And it's simply a rotating piece, and then the head is also a rotating piece, which is attached to this piece, but it is simply offset. And I'll show you what that means, offsetting. Here we've got Bob's head attached to a movement piece. When I press play, here we go. His head's slowly moving. When I press play on this one, you can see it's slightly offset. It's not exactly in the center. You can see when you look at the center, which is the center rotating point of the animation piece, which are the white pieces here, is rotating around it and not in the center of the head like this one. Now here I have completely offset it. I'm just gonna speed it up so you can see. You see how it's rotating, but it's not rotating. It's rotating around the center point, but because it's so far off, it rotates in a bigger circle. And obviously, the further away you are from the center, also the faster it flies. And that's really this way. This last one here. That's how I've made this. That's how I've made the head job. Oh, that's very fast. It's simply... this is the rotating piece, so it rotates around here. It's simply just attached to this piece and it rotates, and it's just offset. That's how you can make flying objects. Again, I'll show you how to make the blood soon as well. And then here we have Bob, very daring. What are you doing, Bob? Let me just bring this down so we got something to stand on. This is a basic fall of a character. So it's attached to a horizontal movement piece, which is on the ground here for now. But I also could have hidden it behind here. And then I couldn't be bothered hiding this piece. But here Bob is going to rotate around its feet. So it's just going to rotate this way. That's how I've programmed it. It's fast pause. Oh no, that's the horizontal piece. It's quarter chop. Now when I press play, it's gonna come down, but it's also going to quarter chop. And here you can see him making a body flop kind of thing. It's not the cleanest animation. I probably could have polished it a little bit better, but you get the idea. I could, for instance, have the horizontal movement piece. Have these two pieces. Have the horizontal piece a little bit later. That's better. No, it just lands too late. But I hope you know what I mean. It's just the horizontal and the rotating piece. I don't know what that was, but it's bugged. Alright. And the last thing that I want to talk about is making things appear. Now there's three types. You've got the general type, which is just the piston thingy. Then you've got the movement type, which gives you medium control. So these settings are very basic. It's just up and down, and just with like different speeds. It doesn't have a pause in it or anything. This one has a little bit more travel, but it's got fast pass, medium pass, and slow pass, which is just it goes to one way, and then it pauses, and then it comes back. And that's kind of the movement that you need to make these appearances. Appearing. And then the last type is taggies sliders. That's what we call them. Gives you the most control, and it gives you a range as well. It shows you you can have it on variable ranges. So you can have obviously it's like pausing in the end, as you can see. it hangs around here a little bit, then it comes back. But you can create the same distance with medium by moving these sliders. Taggy's got a really good tutorial on his YouTube to show you how to do that. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. But here are pretty much the 3 different ones. You've got the blood stain, which is attached to the movement horizontal piece, which is this piece. So it gives you, this is like medium control, you can have it paused a little bit. There you go. But it goes down quite fast as well. Then you've got the jump scare, which is the tiny little one. It just it has a lot more speed, and you can program it like a jump scare. There you go. We got the bob coming out of his face. And then you've got Taggy's slider, which is this one, and it gives you a bit more control, and it shows the blood splatter a little bit longer. And for instance, if you have if you want to build something below here, you can now. You've got all of this room where this yellow area is this here. You can build stuff here, but with a horizontal piece, you need to, you need to hide it much better. So it's much easier to work with these sliders than it is with these horizontal pieces. And it just takes a little longer as well before they appear. Oh, I've talked so much, you probably must be so bored now. But I hope all of this stuff was quite informative. So that was the common movements. That's kind of the end of the video. If you got any questions, please let me know down below and I'll get back to you. But I really hope you learned some new things from this, and I really hope that your animations will become much better after watching these videos, and that you start using more sequencers, which will be great. So yeah, back to number 1, triggers, and I hope you play around with some of the triggers in your park. And that's the end of the video for me. I wish you all the best day, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, bye bye.